Hey you guys, it's Carolyn from Homesteading Family, and today we're going to be talking about making pumpkin pies out of very, very fresh pumpkin or other winter squash. It is so good, it's so delicious, and you don't need to use any sort of canned, pre-prepared anything to make this recipe. You guys are going to love this. Now the first thing you need to start with is an actual pie pumpkin. This is a sugar pie pumpkin. It is so good. We just grew this in the garden. And the thing that you need to be absolutely sure about is that it is properly cured. By properly cured, I mean it needs to have sat out with a little bit of airflow for several weeks before you go to use it. Now, you can't always be sure that the pie pumpkins you buy from the grocery store are properly cured. So when you get them, make sure you get them a week, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, and set them out in a room. It can be just in your kitchen, somewhere where there's some airflow and some air movement. Not only does this make that shell hard, but it actually changes the flavor and the texture of the inside meat, making it really, really good. This is important. If you've ever had a homemade pumpkin pie or something out of a fresh pumpkin and thought, you know, that just didn't really taste very good, the chances are that it just wasn't properly cured. You can tell that it's cured because you should just barely be able to dent that with your thumbnail. You should not be able to poke into it. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this amazing pumpkin custard, which can either be used as a filling for your pumpkin pies, or in our house, this is so healthy, we like to eat the pumpkin custard without a crust just for breakfast. You'll see what I mean as we get going. Okay, so the first step is to get your pumpkin puree. Now there's a really, really easy way to do this, and I'm gonna show it to you. No peeling required. You do need to get this little stem off here though. So I usually just take the edge of a counter. Now make sure it's something hard because it can dent a soft counter, and just give it a couple thumps until it pops right off like that. That just comes right off. Okay, now the easiest way to do this is to just take a knife and put one nice big vent hole in it, put it in some sort of a pan, and stick it into the oven. It's that easy. I didn't even cut the thing open. This is so much easier than trying to either peel it or even cut it in half, because you just don't need to work with getting this nice, well-cured pumpkin cut in half. Okay, now we're gonna put this right into 350-degree oven. The timing is hard for me to tell you guys because it depends on the size of your pumpkin. But what you're looking for, start checking it at about 20 minutes. You want your knife to go straight in there without any resistance. Then you'll know it's done. When that happens, you'll want to take that pumpkin out of the oven and let it cool down. Okay, here's one that I already have cooked and it has cooled, but let's look at how easily that knife goes in. It just pokes right on through. Okay, now this is so easy. This is the easiest way of doing a pumpkin. Right now, you can just go ahead and peel this shell right off. Can you see how easily that just peels right off with your fingers? It is just so simple. I love this method because I can get it started when I don't have a lot of time and then come back to it later when I do have a little more time and it's all ready just to start working. Okay, so you're gonna peel the entire outer skin off of this, or that shell off of this. I'm working a little fast here for the video, but so I'm gonna just move on here. Then after you have that skin peeled all the way off, we're just gonna break this guy right open to expose the center and the seeds. Here we go. Now, one of the reasons I love this method is because I don't add any water. What that means is that the finished puree is not gonna need to be cooked down. It's just ready to use. Okay, this guy's still hot. I don't know if you can see him steaming. I'm gonna go ahead and use my fingers to just scoop out the rest of the seeds, and then you're ready with all of your pumpkin flesh. Now, you want to get that into a bowl. And you can use a immersion blender to puree it. That's what I did here. Or you could put it into a blender, you could put it into a food processor, you could even mash it by hand. But for a really good pumpkin pie, you want to get it nice and smooth. Now this should be nice and thick too. Look at that. Look at how thick that pumpkin puree is. You're looking for 6 cups, so you may have to use 2 or even 3 pie pumpkins. If you've got a little guy like this, you're probably only going to get, you know, 1.5 cups, 2 cups of puree out of this guy. So, you know, you may have to get 3 of them, 4 of them to make sure you have enough. But if you're using a big one like that one we started with, that may be 6 cups right there. Always get a little bit more because you can do all sorts of delicious things with pumpkin puree, even if you have extra than what you need for your pie. Okay, now I love this recipe because it's adjustable. If you get a well-raised pie pumpkin, a lot of times they are already pretty sweet all by themselves. That means that you don't have to add as much sugar. Yay, you can really decrease it. And it's not even noticeable. So, you know, people don't think, oh, that tastes healthy. They just think, oh, that's a great pumpkin pie. Okay, so let's talk about our other ingredients. So to our 6 cups of mashed or pureed pumpkin, we want to go ahead and add 12 eggs. Yes, 12. This is a high protein pumpkin pie. You can see why I serve this for breakfast sometimes in my house. Okay, so I have 10 eggs here. Look at these beautiful home raised eggs we just got from the hen house this morning. Absolutely love these guys. So delicious. Okay, so we're just gonna add that right in. There we go. This, I love ingredients that the step is mix it all together. Mix together all the ingredients. Okay, here I have 2 tablespoons of my favorite pumpkin pie mix, and actually I like my pumpkin pie spicy, so I went with 2.5 tablespoons for me. And a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Please don't forget the salt in this. You need a little bit of salt. This is a teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, now we have the milk. You need 2 cups of milk. If I'm using this for breakfast, I just use plain milk. If I'm making this for a centerpiece or, you know, Thanksgiving pie, something special, I'll use heavy whipping cream. You can use any combination of the 2. Cream, heavy whipping cream, half and half, or just milk. But you need 2 cups of it, one way or the other. Okay, now your different pumpkins can be different amount of sweetness, so you kind of have to take a guess at this. But if you taste your pumpkin puree before it has eggs in it or anything, you can kind of judge, is that really sweet? Is it just a little bit sweet? Maybe it's not sweet at all. Hopefully you take a taste and you're like, oh wow, that's actually a little bit sweet. That's good. This recipe is written for a pie pumpkin, which is assuming that it's going to be just a little bit sweet, in which case you can get away with 2 cups of brown sugar. If you taste it and you're like, wow, that is nicely sweet, decrease the sugar. You don't need to use all of it. If you'd like, in place of the sugar, you can use maple syrup, and it makes it absolutely delicious. You'd want to probably start with about 1 cup of maple syrup. Now, this is enough. This is going to make either 3 of those pies that, you know, the 8-inch pie shells that are fairly thin, not very deep, or it will make 2 kind of a deeper dish pie, or this will make 1 9 by 13 pan of pumpkin custard that you can use for a breakfast. If I'm making this for a breakfast, I always decrease the sweetener and go with the lightest, so I usually can get that down to 1 cup or less for a full 9 by 13 pan. Okay, so now all you have to do is get this all blended up. Okay, so remember I said that one of the tricks was to have this really, really well pureed. And so that is the trick. Also, when you're stirring it, make sure it's really well stirred. Look at how beautiful that is. I wish that you could smell this. At this stage, it smells so good. I didn't have to open a can of anything to make this. It's all good, pure ingredients. I just love that. Okay. So now we're ready to either pour this into a 9x13 pan and get it into the oven if you're just looking for that casserole. Or if you want to make your pie, then you want a prepared pie shell. I have given you the recipe for both the custard, my favorite pie crust recipe, and a bunch of our other holiday favorite recipes in the link in the description. So check that out. This is my go-to pie recipe. It's maybe not the flakiest, but it always turns out great and everybody always loves it. Okay, so then you're just gonna pour this right in. Now remember, pumpkin pies puff just a tiny bit. So you want to fill it up, but give yourself some wiggle room there. Okay, now you can see I definitely have enough left over here for a whole nother pie of this size. Doesn't that look great? I'm gonna go slide this into a 350-degree oven for, about 45 minutes. It depends on the size of the pie that you've just made. But you're looking for it to be completely set, but still just a little bit jiggly in the middle when you test it. All right, now this guy is fresh out of the oven. If you see him, he looks nice and set, but if you give him a little jiggle, he still wiggles just a little bit. Now we're gonna set this guy aside to cool a little bit more, and then he will be ready to slice. Oh my goodness, you guys, if you could smell this. I just don't know that life gets any better than this. Now this guy is still pretty warm, but let's slice into him. Well, I can think of one way that life gets better than this, and that's called homemade whipped cream on top. Okay, I hope he's cooled enough to hold together well. Yeah, he's not entirely set. You just have to let him cool just a little bit more before you take a slice out of him. But there is nothing store-bought in this. Isn't that amazing? Everything is homegrown, homemade. Even that milk came right from the milk cow. Oh, that is so good, and it's super spicy, just the way I like it. The texture is so silky smooth. It is so good. Pair this with a little bit of homemade vanilla whipping cream, and oh my goodness, you have a dessert that is fit for any Thanksgiving table. Take care, you guys. Don't forget to grab your download with all the recipes, and have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. Make sure you enjoy it with friends. Invite somebody to your Thanksgiving table that might not have another place to be. And take care, you guys. Enjoy.